So, good morning, Internet. This is the Australianguy back again with my Qiewa electric scooter. Today we're going to fix a little problem that we had from our last ride out. We were scooting down Sherwood Road at about 45 miles an hour and we hit a wall, literally. I'd like to do a big shout out to the EVS body suit, the body armor, and my Bell helmet. They both saved me quite considerable damage. I've spent the last couple of weeks wearing this splint boot. I think I might have cracked my heel or bruised my ankle or some such thing. But anyway, during that little encounter, we had one of the brakes pop out. I hope you can see it there. You can see there's only one brake pad still around. Big shout out to Qiewa. They sent me another set of brake pads. So today we're going to try and change those over. Okay, so I removed the two retaining bolts that hold the brake unit on the scooter. It's just the two bolts there. The old brake pad fell out quite easily. Of course there's one missing, so now what I need to do is to remove these two bolts, loosen these two, and then I can remove this cable from behind the mudguard. And this will give me a little bit more space to work with. Okay, so I had to remove both of the bars, as you can see, and then the cable came out, and this is going to give me more access to give it a clean and to install the new brake pads. So I've finished cleaning, and on inspection, I'm not sure if you can see in here by my thumb, there's a little bit of wear and tear on the aluminum surface. I'm guessing that's been happening since the brake pad popped out. I drove another 6 or 8 miles and it was all squeaky. So I'm guessing that's when that happened. And at this point I just have to hope that it's not going to affect how the scooter operates once it's realigned. So before I go ahead and install the new brake pads, I just took a look and had a look at the wear and tear. After about 250 miles of use, quite heavy use I must admit, this brake pad's worn down quite a bit. I won't say half, maybe a third. So keeping an eye on your regular checks on your brake pads is a great idea with these super fast dual motor scooters. So holding a piece of white paper behind the brake unit is a great way to assist you in seeing inside. Again, I'm not sure if you can see on this camera, but the ram inside is fully extended. But because it's under pressure and I don't want to do any damage to anything that's new, so what I'm going to do is relieve the pressure by unscrewing the hose attached to the brake lever up here, and then that should be no pressure on the ram, and I should be able to install the new brake pads without any drama. Okay, so in the end I fully removed the brake unit. I was just finding it too hard to put enough pressure on the ram to fully depress the ram. Okay, so using a little bit of brute force and an Allen key, I can fully depress the ram, the hydraulic ram. You can see a little oil squirting out there, and then if you look in the back, you can see the ram's fully depressed. there is no snap snap. So you can see in there I have the two new brake pads, and there's plenty of room in there for me to fit the brakes back over the disc and attach it back to the frame. Now I'm filling my syringe with some brake fluid so that I've got some fluid in the syringe so I can fill up the reservoirs on the brake unit and also on the handle unit. Okay, just a quick recap. Now that I've reinstalled new brake pads, I need to recharge the hydraulic system. So at the top here I have a reservoir of DOT3 brake fluid, and it's attached to the rear brake cable. That comes down, and what I have here is the brake fluid is draining down into a jar on the ground. And I need to be sure that there's a full steady stream of fluid coming out of here before I reattach the rear brake unit. Now the rear brake unit I've filled with brake fluid, and as soon as this is attached I can detach the reservoir from the top. The line should be full. I just need to put a little fluid in the reservoir at the top at the handle, and then I can reattach the cable and the brake should be good to go. Okay, we have a good stream of fluid, so I'm pretty certain that the line's fully charged. So now I can reattach the rear brake unit, and that just screws straight on here like this. Okay, so once it's attached I can tighten this up and then give this a good cleaning, remove all the excess brake fluid. We don't really want brake fluid in the mix. If we want the brakes to work, we'd like them to work without any lubricants. So there we have the new brake pads in the brake unit. I'm just going to put this finger tight until I'm certain that everything is working how it's supposed to be. It's just the two retaining bolts to put the brake unit back onto the frame. Coming back up this top end, now I can be pretty sure that the brake line is full of fluid, so I can disconnect my little reservoir and I can visually see that there's plenty of fluid in there. I want to keep this up. I don't want it to drain. Now, as it turns out, I am going to have to remove the whole brake handle unit. But I need to be sure that there's fluid in the reservoir here, and to do this I'm absolutely going to have to turn the reservoir down so that any fluid doesn't leak out when I reattach the hose. So as I discovered last time, the best way to get the handle off without undoing all of the wire cable connections is to simply put the handle down. We have a syringe with more brake fluid, so we can fill up the reservoir. Have a rag handy to catch the excess. So now with the reservoir full and the hose full, we can reconnect the two. So now I have the brake cable reattached to the reservoir at the top at the handle. The brakes reattached down at the hub again, and if I squeeze the handle, you can see the brake pads are moving as they're supposed to, and it's a nice lock up. So I'm confident that I have brakes again. Once we've got the scooter back together again, we should ensure all of our control levers are back in the positions we need them to be in. That's how we changed the brake pads on our Qiewa Qpower electric scooter. I now have to charge the batteries. It's been sitting here for a couple of weeks waiting for new pieces. So I'm going to charge up the batteries and then I'm going to go for a scoot.